what are you doing? Looks like you're fighting Basil. Meet Basil, my fight partner. Obviously, he's not going to fight back. But I am fighting for my mental health, my physical health. I'm fighting for my ability to stay young and strong for long. I'm fighting for happy drugs to be pumping through my brain. I'm fighting so that I've got a fast metabolism. I'm fighting so I've got strong bones, good posture, great immune system. They're all the reasons why we get fit and strong, get puffed, overload your muscles and bones, get fit, get strong. But we seem to forget something that we probably learnt in early high school in science, which is the fight and flight system. Fight and flight. It's our body's ability to handle stress. Now, if you are a single person and you're under stress and something's trying to hurt you, you need to defend yourself, the wild animal's chasing you, you can probably flight. You can run away. It's okay to sprint away and get away from the animal and yay, I beat the threat because I flighted, I ran. But if you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, a leader, is it possible that you don't have the option to flight? You actually have to turn and fight. Boom! Now, you might not physically fight, but do we need to be mentally tough enough, mentally strong enough to handle any threat? And how do we get mentally tough? And in a world where now mental health, mental illness, mental unwellness, mental weakness has become normal, how do we make sure that as parents, bosses, leaders, I love it when I'm out here, not only am I getting fit and strong from fighting with Basil, but fresh air, sunshine, bees, birds, it's just beautiful out here. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is I would like to stay healthy, fit and strong for the rest of my life. How about you? But I want to be mentally tough. How about you? So what's fighting got to do with mental toughness? And is it possible that fighting is the ultimate way to stay mentally healthy? And here's some basic physiology, again, a reminder from perhaps years 7, 8, 9 science in school. When you fight and flight, so if you are under threat, if you're under pressure, your body goes into that system where you actually have to run away or fight. Your body produces some chemicals to make that possible. Epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol, they're the fight and flight neurotransmitters. They make sure that your body can run away or can fight. So they increase blood pressure, increase heart rate, increase blood fat levels, blood sugar levels. So you've got all the energy that you need to be able to fight or flight. Now, the beautiful thing about the endocrine hormonal system, because they're all hormones that allow us to beat the threat, run away from the threat, the reverse of that is after you have, yay, I've run away from the animal, I've defeated the threat, I've overcome the challenge, I ran away or I fought, your brain says congratulations. That's the hormonal system's response to overcoming a threat. So epinephrine and adrenaline to beat the threat, and then dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, brain-derived neurotropic factor. Now, I sound really important using big words like that, I know, but they're simply neurotransmitters, neurochemicals, I call them happy drugs, that fill up our brain, fill up our body after we've overcome a threat. So dopamine is a reward drug, which is congratulations, you beat the threat, woohoo, and you feel awesome. Serotonin is a satisfaction neurotransmitter. It makes you feel satisfied with your life. And when you've fought and I prefer fighting because, I'm going to use that example again, if you're on your own and you're under threat, you can run away. But you can't pick up 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, 100 people and take them with you. So if you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, you have to learn how to fight physically or mentally. You have to learn how to overcome challenges without running away. Would that be fair? Now, to get your body ready for all of that, it's called training, practice, prepare. And not just practice and prepare until you get it right, but shouldn't we practice and prepare till we can't get it wrong? So whenever a threat arrives, whenever somebody's bullying us, pressuring us, there's a challenge, there's a problem, whether it's in our personal life, in our professional life, or it might be something worldwide. It could be a financial crisis, it could be a medical crisis, and we've been through all of those. It could be the weather, there could be floods, droughts, bushfires, tornadoes. I live out here in the central South Island of New Zealand, and we have all of those here. I have to be tough to live here, mentally tough and physically tough to be able to handle what happens. So that's why I'm out here fighting with Basil. Now, the beautiful thing is I'm also married to a world champion fighter. K-Man is the owner of K-Man's Martial Arts Club. He's a multiple gold medal world champion in Taekwondo. He's a fifth degree black belt in Taekwondo. He also does judo and karate and kickboxing. They're all actual fighting sports. So it's not just come out and fight Basil who doesn't fight back. He's the guy that goes and fights with another person. Now, in a controlled environment in sport, that's something that I love watching. I love watching two people go onto a ring or a mat and only one person wins. I think that's the ultimate sport. And if you know anything about martial arts, it's never about hurting somebody. It's always about being the toughest, strongest, mentally toughest and strongest person to be able to handle the fight. The interesting thing about that is that at the end of the fight, particularly when you watch two men fight each other, they're so respectful of two guys that have fought each other really well. Now, I'm sharing that with you because when you go into that situation, there is a massive pump of adrenaline, a massive pump of epinephrine. Now, they're the same thing, but one comes from the brain and one comes from the adrenal glands. So a lot of chemicals is to protect your body and the other one is to protect your brain. And that happens under fight situation, under threat. So I can't produce that as effectively with Basil as if I went into a fight situation or a real life challenge. So if you want to stay young, if you want to stay mentally healthy, if you want to stay mentally tough, if you want to be creative, if you want to be an overcomer of challenges. One of my favourite expressions when I talk to leaders or ask parents, do you want to be a positive, optimistic solution finder? Well, that all happens inside our brain. And is it possible that fighting, the physical act of fighting, where two people go into a mat or a ring and only one person wins, that's where we get that biggest adrenaline pump, the biggest epinephrine explosion inside our body, which is the chemical that keeps us young. So there's a great quote, do we get old and stop playing our sport, or do we get old because we stop playing our sport? Now, sport's great, but there's not the ultimate sport. Is it possible there's two people, one person wins, one person loses? And the beautiful thing about losing in martial art is I don't think there's ever a loser. I think that two people going onto a mat or into a ring to be physically and mentally overcoming each other, both of those people are winners. It's the ultimate situation for mental health, mental toughness, mental strength. So one of the things I get the biggest buzz out of, particularly with K-Man's Martial Arts School, is watching the kids learn how to fight. Now, there's a couple of big things there. If they know how to fight, is it possible that no one will ever pick on them? And that's the biggest thing that I love. If anybody ever does pick on them, and I'll just use a very personal example, I share this story often. I've had somebody who tried to steal my handbag and it was broad daylight and there was lots of people around, but they tried to grab my bag and run. Well, because I've had martial arts training with K-Man, my response, I practice till you get it right, not till you get it right, but till you can't get it wrong. My natural response was to fight back. I saved my handbag. That guy came out worse for wear, and I was defending myself. And it was a very powerful position to be in, being able to defend yourself. Those birds and bees, I love them. So what I'm asking very personally is, if you are a parent, a teacher, a coach, are you mentally tough and strong enough? You have to be tough enough to flight, I get that, to run away, to sprint. But are you tough enough to turn and fight? And those chemicals that make us strong for fighting, is it possible that we need to keep producing those, because otherwise the body stops? Well, we don't. If you don't use it, you lose it. I want to rephrase that with, if you use it, you won't lose it. So if you're constantly pumping adrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol, and then dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, they're the pain-killing happy drugs that not only help us compete, help us do our sport, help us lift heavy, help us sprint, but they also make us feel really good, and they're a painkiller. So we get when we're going through the process of getting fit and strong, it helps reduce the pain. It's just, the body's an amazing group of chemicals, and I just get really excited about it. How about you? So if you want to be tough, if you want to reduce your risk of any chance of depression, anxiety, if you are feeling depressed or anxious, is it possible that we can change our brain chemistry? And that's where we have physiology on our side. So if I am under threat, if I don't feel good, if I'm depressed, if I'm anxious, if I'm angry, and then I go fight. Now, I could run, and I'm not talking about walking on the beach, I'm not talking about plod jogging. I have to sprint to create the epinephrine adrenaline. But if I turn and fight, so whether it's Basil or I get onto a mat or into a ring, and I've learnt how to fight, defend myself effectively, I now have a brain that can overcome a challenge, I can overcome an opponent, I can overcome a threat. And then after that, I feel really good. So if your goal in life is to be happy, and I don't want to sound like a motivational rah-rah, but isn't it, or wouldn't it be awesome to wake up every day feeling happy, feeling satisfied with your life, feeling like you want to get up and do life? And how do we do that if we're depressed? One of the things that the psychiatrists and psychologists and neuroscientists always share with me is that the two reasons that people get depressed, that they feel like they've got no purpose in life and they are not in control of their life. When you know how to fight, you feel more in control. And when you've got a purpose to get up and get fit and strong for your family, for the people that you care about, but most importantly, for yourself. How can you look after your family if you don't look after yourself? How can you look after the people that you love if you don't look after yourself? So to wrap all of that up in a beautiful pink box that will not drop out of the sky, you actually have to go and get fit and get strong. But could the ultimate way to get fit and get strong be to fight or flight? Now, flight will do it if you're on your own. But if you're really serious about getting mentally tough, could it be a really good idea to learn how to fight? So that if you are ever under threat, either you don't have to fight because you know how to and people are less likely to pick you, or if you do have to fight, you've got the capability to defend yourself and defend your family. And I wish this for nobody. I never ever wish that you're under threat where you have to fight to protect your life, physically fight. But if you ever are in that situation, wouldn't it be really cool to be able to defend yourself, defend your family, defend what you believe in if you have to do that physically? So I'm outside today fighting for my brain, fighting for my mental health, fighting for my ability to stay young and strong for long, and most importantly, I'm fighting to be happy. Because if I pump the drugs that force me to fight and flight, I'm going to automatically pump the drugs that make me feel satisfied, that make me feel rewarded, and make me feel happy. And I wish that for everybody. So if you want to be happy, healthy, fit and strong and be able to overcome challenges and be able to turn and fight anything that attacks you, could it be a really good idea to learn how to do that? Hey Basil, what do you reckon, mate? Woohoo!